At 6 o'clock, I will call the May 23rd, 2023 meeting of the Wythe County Board of Supervisors to order. This evening we have Reverend Jonathan Hammond of the Holy Trinity and Retreat Lutheran Churches to provide the invocation. If you would please stand and remain standing for pledge.
Let's pray. Holy One, we come before you this night asking your prayers and blessings for all those who gather here in this place. We pray especially for those who have been called to lead and serve in our county. We pray your Spirit's guidance on their words, actions, and decisions, that they may be done for the good of our community and with those most in need among us, foremost in our minds. We do give you thanks for this beautiful place we are privileged to call home, and pray that all may experience its peace and tranquility. Grant us grace and peace this day, this night, and always. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first item on the agenda, Citizens Time. I'll call you up. As always, you'll have 3 minutes. And the first person we have signed up is Miss Linda Myers.
I just have one question. We have the lights and the caution and the cameras at the schools, and what we've heard nothing since they were put in. Is it doing something positive? And have we made millions of dollars in fees and so on? There's people would like to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Myers. All right, that's all we have signed up for Citizens Time, so I'll close Citizens Time. Move into our first public hearing tonight for the proposed tax levy for calendar year 2023. And Mr. Baird, I will let you read all that.
Board package closed out on that.
All right, pursuant to section 58.1, and I would ask Mr. Farthing to, are you lying to me?
No, I've got
3007 of the Code of Virginia and amendments thereto, the Wythe County Board of Supervisors will conduct a public hearing. The purpose of the public hearing is to give the citizens of Wythe County an opportunity to comment on the proposed tax levy for calendar year 2023. Public hearing will be held Tuesday, May 23rd, 2023 in the boardroom of the Administration Building, 340 South 6th Street, Wytheville, Virginia at 6 p.m. or as soon thereafter practical. Any Wythe County citizens can provide written comments prior to the meeting that will be entered into the official minutes of the Wythe County Board of Supervisors and summarized by the chair or the designee at the board meeting. Our proposed tax levy for 2023 is 51 cents on real estate, which is a rate difference of 0, $2.22 tangible personal property, which is a rate difference of 0, $1.50 on machine and tools, which is a rate difference of 0, and 56 cents on merchant's capital, which again is a rate difference of 0. The proposed use of such taxes, when and if appropriated by the Wythe County Board of Supervisors, shall be to defray the county's charges incidental to or arising from the execution of lawful authority of the Board of Supervisors of Wythe County, Virginia. And we do not have anybody signed up to speak on the public hearing for the proposed tax levy, but is there anything you want to add, Mr. Baird?
Mr. Chairman, just will add, as you said, that there is no difference. I will point out on tangible personal property, I do realize that we are in the midst of issuing a rebate based off the rate being the same as last year, but I do appreciate the Commissioner of Revenue has went ahead this year and has downloaded vehicle values, as I have shared with you all, and vehicle values from last January 1st to this January 1st was roughly 15% down or so or whatever. So generally calculates out to about what our rebate is, and the revenue in here works into our budget as it is. So just wanted to point that out. That's why that is at the same level. In general, it all depends on the value of your vehicles or if you trade vehicles. But in general, the taxes should be down roughly 15% on personal property because of lower value. And other than that, Mr. Chairman, that's all I've got to add on that.
Does any board member have any comment on the proposed tax levy?
No, sir.
No, sir.
All right, hearing none, I'll close the public hearing, and we will move on to the public hearing for the proposed county and school board budget for fiscal year 24. And I hope you've got that pulled up, Mr.
I do have that pulled up.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Pursuant to Section 15.2-2506 of the Code of Virginia and amendments thereto, the Wythe County Board of Supervisors will conduct a public hearing. The purpose of the public hearing is to give citizens of Wythe County the opportunity to comment on the proposed county budget, which includes the school board budget for fiscal year 23-24. The public hearing will be held on Tuesday, May 23rd, 23 in the boardroom of the Administration Building, 340 South 6th Street, Wytheville, Virginia at 6 p.m. The budget synopsis is prepared and published for information and fiscal planning purposes only. The inclusion in the budget of any item or items does not constitute an obligation on part of the Board of Supervisors of Wythe County to appropriate any funds for that item or purpose. There is no allocation or designation of any funds of the county for any purpose until there has been an appropriation for that purpose by the Wythe County Board of Supervisors. The budget has been prepared on the basis of estimates and requests from the Board of Supervisors by constitutional officers, intergovernmental agencies, non-governmental agencies, and department heads of Wythe County, and review and amendments to those requests by the Board of Supervisors and staff. The proposed expenditure budget, total expenditure budget this year is $117,320 and $771, $117,327.71, a decrease of $25,022,164, which is a 17.58% decrease. It is matched by a matching revenue budget of the same amount of $117,327.71. A detailed breakdown of the department budgets on file at the County Administration Office, located 340 South 6th Street, Wytheville, Virginia, for the public to view.
All right. Well, again, we don't have anybody signed up to speak at the public hearing, so I'll close the public comment. Mr. Baird, do you have anything to add on that?
Mr. Chairman, you all have been in several meetings with us as we have gone through this. I think you all are all aware of the budget, of where we stand on it. We're $25 million less. $24 million of that less can be accounted by the school system, decrease in the capital improvements project budget. Obviously, we just had the public hearing on the tax rates. I will just share on the real estate rates. We are currently 51 cents. Grayson, under the most recent data we have, is still at 54. Bland's at 60. Carroll's at 64. Smith's at 74. And Pulaski's at 74. So we are still the lowest tax rate of our surrounding localities. Other than that, Mr. Chairman, unless you all have any questions, I have nothing else.
And I know we have Dr. Poole here tonight, but just to clarify, because you did cover the capital improvement project for the school system, but on paper, it looks like the school board budget is going down 27%, but in operational cost, we have increased our funding
800 and I wrote that number down, sir. I won't say 875,000. 825,000.
Does anybody else have any comments about the school board or the county budget?
No, sir.
All right. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing on the proposed county and school board budget for fiscal year 24. We'll move on to the agenda. Next item is our payment of invoices. Each board member has received in their board package a collection of invoices that need to be paid. And I'll entertain a motion to approve the invoices.
So in the middle.
Have a motion by Mr. Terry, a second by Mr. Cook. Is there any questions, discussion, or any invoice any board member wants to pull out? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote with Mr. Burnett.
Aye.
Aye. So approved. And next item is the minutes from our previous meeting, May the 9th, 2023. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Burnett. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Ms. Lawson. Is there any corrections, additions to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved. And before we move on to old business, we do have Miss Colleen with us tonight. And as always, I want to express our appreciation for what a good job you do in transcribing our minutes.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, under old business, we have some appointments. Does any board member, or has any board member talked to anybody that's interested in any of the appointments we have open?
I've got one. For the Rec Commission for the Speedwell District, Justin Stoneman has expressed an interest in it, so I will make that nomination.
All right, and Mr. Justin Stoneman nominated. Do we need to do a second?
Typically we do.
Okay, entertain a second for Justin.
I'll second.
Have a second by Ms. Lawson. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Mr. Stoneman. I laughed because I told him if his name come up, I was going to vote against him.
Oh, okay.
All right, does anybody else have anybody? We still need an at-large Rec Commission person.
I have a message from Mr. Simonis, sir, but I've not heard back yet.
And I don't remember if I told you last meeting, but Miss O'Quinn's not eligible. I think Miss Ayers and some other people are trying to find somebody that's interested in serving on the Social Services Board. So, all right, we'll move on to. Do we have anything else under old business?
I am not aware of anything, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we'll move on to our report. We have our treasurer's report. Ms. Gwen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
Okay, all kinds of stuff for you guys tonight. But we'll start with financials and then we'll move into the nitty-gritty of everything else. I don't have too many papers with me tonight. Okay, in your packet you received the treasurer's report for the month of April. The consolidated account contained a month-end balance of $91,229,562, and of that balance, the general fund balance was $51,326,323. I will point out, I'm not sure if you all noticed in going through the report, but in the previous meeting I mentioned the interest rate that we've been able to obtain from the bank. Right now, the bank is paying us in excess of 5% on our deposit with the bank. So as of right now, we're receiving 5.25%. So we're getting really good interest payments on a monthly basis. So that's really helping us on the revenue side and giving us extra money that we haven't seen for quite some time up until somewhat recently. So the bank's been very good to us at this point in time. So we're receiving a really good rate. I don't have anything to point out on the treasurer's report unless you all have questions. I'll be glad to address an item before moving on to a few other points of interest.
Ms. Gwen, I'll just take the opportunity to, if y'all don't mind here, on the treasurer's report, the photo enforcement fines collected to date this year is $15,080. But I do believe there's some payback for the camera and equipment that are going in with that. So once that's paid off, we should see more revenue coming in from that in the process. But just wanted to relay that so the question was asked.
Anyone have anything before moving on?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so we'll touch on rebates first, and then we'll move into everything else. Since, let's see, it was here at the end of April, I've had I'd hired 5 part-time folks to come in and work on a part-time temporary basis for the rebates. One was able to help start out for. One had some things to come up, wasn't able to continue to help, so ended up hiring another person. In all, I've had 5, but 4 on a rotating basis. Those ladies are coming in after hours and on Saturdays to work just because of our computer availability. I don't have extra computers during the day to put 4 extra people on. So they're coming in the evenings when they get off from work, and they're working until 7, 8 o'clock, sometimes 9 o'clock, and most of the time all day on Saturdays. So those ladies have been contributing a great deal of time to help with this project and try to get these rebates out. To be honest, I knew what was involved with this process. It's been more to it than really what I imagined, and these ladies are they're to the point they're wanting to get finished and be done with it because they're like, oh my gosh, this is kind of crazy, but it's all a manual process. But they've been great. They're doing a great job. Right now we're in week 7, 8, depending on how you want to look at it. As of today, the last batch that I sent up to accounts payable for processing this afternoon, we were just a little over 10,000 rebates. So that equates out to about $676,000. We're in the S's. So, Mr. Smith, we're knocking on your door, and Mr. Vault, you're on the horizon. So, we're getting there. Our goal is, we thought we might be finished by this weekend. May look like it'll carry over to the early part of next week, but Ms. Williams and I have talked about it just because of the way all this is hitting the GL and all the processing. We're really pushing, as far as my temp people, to try to get this wrapped up before the end of May so that we're finished with it. We're getting ready to go into prelim audit work in June and just kind of have it finished so that we can just look at everything in June on the GL and see where we're at and be able to move forward. So we're closer than we've been. Like I said, it's been a more in-depth process than even what I originally thought it would be. I had a very good idea, but it's taken a lot more time than I really thought. But we're getting there, so we're getting phone calls from folks that don't realize they were to get a rebate, so they're calling and asking about their checks. Some folks are calling to see where the rebate was at. They paid late, so they didn't qualify for the rebate. Some phone calls are coming in because folks believe that they received the rebate on the full amount, including license fees, trailers, campers, things like that. And so when we explain that, some folks are okay with it, and others haven't been so happy about that because they said, well, I would have waited if I'd have known I wasn't getting it on all of it. And we're like, well, that's how it was put out there, is you got it on vehicles and motorcycles. So, but it hasn't been too bad. I think the banks will be glad when this is over with too, because all these checks are coming in and they're handling all of these checks as well. So the few that I deal with on a regular basis, they're like, how much longer do you all have? So I think a lot of those folks will be glad when we're finished also. Any questions on the rebates and where we're at on the process with that right now before I move on?
No questions, just thank you all. Thanks for everyone.
We're doing all we can. We are, the finance department is, as far as AP. Some days I'll send them 1 batch, some days I send them 3. Love their hearts. They come in on Monday mornings, and where we've worked on Saturdays, they're overloaded. So, they've been moving it very quickly as well. So we're just trying to keep it going. So with the rebates, we're going to move to the collection side of taxes. Of course, for 2022, as you know, we had 2 different due dates, so that made things a little, kind of get a little off track and things like that. But right now, looking at our collections through the end of the day on Friday, and comparing those actually to June 30th, because I didn't have the same data for the same time frame last year. Thus far for 2022, our tax collections were averaging 95.5%. As of June 30th last year, we were at 96.5%. So a month earlier, and we're getting very close to exceeding where we were at, at the end of the fiscal year. We have mailed out delinquent personal property notices. Those went out the end of March, 1st of April. We'll be placing holds at DMV around June the 1st, or within a few days after that on unpaid bills. And we're getting ready to start working on issuing warrants in debt now that we're past personal property real estate deadlines and kind of trying to get finished up on the rebate side of things. Delinquent real estate bills will be mailed out next week, so folks will start receiving those for any bills that weren't paid by March the 30th or up to the point that the file was pulled. So that's kind of where we are on collections. Moving on a good note, as far as the fiscal year 24 budget, I want you all to know how appreciative I am for the board granting the additional funding that I had requested for the treasurer's office. We're trying to move the office forward on some more things since the system has finally been upgraded and we're into a newer version of it. It'll allow us to be able to proceed with a few other projects that we've really been in delay on, waiting for the upgrade to come through. But I did get to tour the new office building on Friday. The county engineer came and got me, and he was so excited, and he made me excited, and we just were like two kids with candy going through the new building. So it was great to see. I did question the placement of a window in the treasurer's office bathroom. That is a huge window, but that'll be resolved. So it overlooks the parking lot, so it's kind of weird. But anyway, it was the way the building was designed. But it's going to be a very nice office space, so I'm really looking forward to us getting in there and start functioning and being able to hopefully accommodate folks a lot more. We'll have more counter space than we currently have. So looking forward to getting to utilize that. So at this point, this is all I have, unless you want to talk about the Mr. Brown property at this point or wait until later. I'm not sure what you want to do there, because I know it's on the agenda for later.
We've got a committee recommendation.
Okay.
If we wait till then, be
All
great.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gwen. We have the commissioner, Ms. Vaught.
I don't have anything this evening unless somebody has questions for me about something.
Well, I do have a question. It was kind of spurred by what Ms. Gwen said. And this is, I don't know, it's bothered me for several years. Talking about the license fee on trailers, Stephen.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a homemade trailer that the value, I think, is $200. And the taxes I pay are a lot less than the $20 license fee. Is that something we could look at putting a minimum value before we charge that license fee? I mean, I don't, and I don't mind paying my fair share of taxes, but I have a problem with the license fee is $20 and the taxes are like $3. To me, that's not, I just have a problem with that.
We can look at it and see, look at the ordinance.
I know you've got a homemade trailer.
All mine's new.
Yeah.
$20 for running up and down county roads with.
I thought the license fee on trailers was $10.
Well, mine's in the town, so I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So, but I mean, if there's any way to look at it, I mean.
So you wanted us to look at changing the license fee or increasing the value so you're paying more per person?
I would like you to haul it off.
We'll look at the way that ordinance is written and see if there's anything that we can look at on it.
But that's all I had, Ms. Vaught. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Vaught? All right, thank you, ma'am. Sheriff, Chief Deputy Klein, we have anything? All right, move on to new business. Excuse me, we've got the consent calendar that we've received. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Have a motion by Ms. Lawson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Mr. Smith. Is there any questions or discussion on that item? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Terry?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So approved.
Did you skip one?
Skip.
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep it interesting. All right, got the Max Meadows Collection Improvement Project, change order number 1.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would ask Mr. Cook to make the motion on this one if he would. This is a change order that we like. Zach's here from Thrasher if y'all have any questions about it. But this is the closeout change order for our project. And it's get all the quantities correct, right? And get it deducted to the amount that we've got in the bid, not the closeout.
Yeah,
When
we bid the project, after we bid the project, we reduced the scope of the project a little bit between the county, us, and the contractor, just the value engineer a little bit, get those things for our buck. This change order is to recognize those things that are different from the bid sheet that they filled out. No work has started yet. It's changing the original contract to match the value engineer.
And it's a decrease of $241,511.79 to make the final contract $1,174,464.73. So we don't get a whole lot of deduct change orders, but that's getting everything that the changes that we made to get it down to that amount.
And I noticed you didn't let Mr. Hankins present that because it was a decrease.
Yeah.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve change order number 1.
So move.
Have a motion by Mr. Cook. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Mr. Smith. Is there any questions or discussion on that? All right, hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Burnett?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Aye.
So approved. Anything else under new business, Mr. Barrett?
Just the staff reports, Mr. Chairman.
Have to flip my page. All right, we'll go to staff reports. We have Assistant County Administrator, Mr. Hankins.
I believe you were going to recaption that, the bad news report, Mr. Chairman. Don't have a lot for you in this report. We have received the bids on the hockey facility. We're still working through a few qualifications that were in the bid, so I don't have a recommendation for you at this time. Do have a couple of things that follow. I've just got follow-up items and some project updates. If anyone has any questions about those, be glad to answer those. If not, do have a request here from the Sheriff's Office. Chief Deputy Klein gave me prior to the meeting. The Ivanhoe Command Freightliner that had been allocated to the Sheriff's Office for use by the dive team. They would like to return that vehicle back to the county, and so just for informational purposes, we're going to try to find and see if there's a use for some of the equipment that's on that truck. If not, we'll look at surplusing that. That had been the plan before it was allocated to the Sheriff's Office. So since they don't have a use for it, we'll see what uses may be available, and if not, we'll surplus it.
I assume we don't need to take any action on that.
I don't see any action necessary. If we are not able to salvage anything off of it, we'll put on gov deals, and then Ms. Collins will bring it to you, and you all can declare it surplus and sell it at that time.
Anything else?
My only other item will come under the Fire and Rescue Committee report.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Hankins?
No, sir.
All right, we'll go to County Administrator's report. Mr. Barrett.
First item is for the Clerk of Circuit Court's office. He received a grant for his record books would request you all amend and appropriate the $54,329 as shown.
All right, entertain a motion to amend and appropriate $54,329,000 for the line items that are in the memo.
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Terry. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Mr. Burnett. Is there any questions or discussion on that? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Burnett?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Aye.
So approved.
Next, retiree health insurance discussion. I have laid a copy of the policy in front of you all. Did not need to take action on it tonight, but this mirrors the policy that the school board has been offering that we discussed during our budget negotiations this year. Made some revisions to it. One of the areas we're open for discussion is typically they are looking for the retirement exercise the agreement by March 15th, but that's because they're primarily dealing with contracts on individuals from July 1st to July 1st. I'm looking at revising that to being like a 60-day or 90-day notification to the county. Of that, we don't need it to be on that same cycle. We do need to have some rough numbers for budget estimates in the process. The retiree health credit, you can see highlighted in orange there. The county employees do not receive as much of a credit as what the school board employees receive. So they will not be receiving as much to apply towards the premium. And then on the requirements, you can see I've looked at that being 10 years, which the school is currently at 5 and considering increasing theirs to 10 also.
On the 60 or 90 days notice that you talked about, what's the notice that you have to give VRS?
60 days is the notice to VRS on it. I put 90 in here, and I was asking Martha, and she was confirming whether it was 60 or 90, and she said it was 90, or it was 60 for the VRS. So we can make it consistent between the two of them, or we can give it an additional 30 days. The only reason I like giving a little bit of additional time is just make certain we get everything set up for them to start those insurance payments so they start the month before in the process. This will involve setting up, tracking of it, and we can use the school as a guide on it, but the individuals will need to be paying that amount to us by the 20th of each month so we can make our payments to the health insurer in the process. So there's some paperwork that goes with it, not overly burdensome, but just everybody's got to do that. I have looked, I don't know if the school does it under ACH. I have looked at some localities that have set it up under ACH so that people can do that automatically, and that may be something we can review with the treasurer's office and see if we can do that.
Is there a number of years that we pay on this?
7.
7?
Yes, sir. Like I said, not for action tonight. Just wanted you all to review it. We would need to come up with a budgetary number in the budget for an estimate for potential retirees, and whether we put that under individual line items or we just put it under one retiree health credit underneath the like board of supervisors or something like that in the process.
Would it hurt to float that out to department heads and see if we can get a
idea?
I mean,
yep. Don't think it hurt at all.
I mean, I think that would be more accurate than just pulling a number out of there. I mean, I don't. Does anybody have any questions on the retiree policy?
I was just wondering what, we got you got moving it to 10 years versus 5 years, and I was just curious what the difference might be.
That is that the employee has to work for Wythe County for 10 years instead of just 5 years.
Right.
Part of the reason, in my opinion, 5 is nice, but a lot of people could come to Wythe, which could be a good thing for recruiting people, but only stay here 5 years, but then you're giving them this benefit for 7 years. And so I like the 10 years as a better time frame, because for your 10 years of service to us, then you're getting a potential of 7 years of benefit or Medicare eligibility, whichever.
Thank you.
And I think ideally, and after talking to Dr. Poole about kind of the way they use it, it helps get more tenured employees with experience who may be closer to retirement. You can steal them from other localities. Is that the correct term, steal them? And not only for, the benefits for the new hires, but, when you're in a pinch and you want a county engineer that is not fresh out of college because you're dealing with a Blue Star project. You want to fill that position quickly with somebody that's got some experience, and I think, I know the Dr. Poole and the school system have utilized that, so.
It's an extra perk.
All right, does anybody else have any questions on that?
No.
Next item is just for discussion, and we can decide this meeting or next meeting. The June 30th, 2023 is our end of year closeout meeting. We've done that for a couple years, moved it to the last day of the month. That is a Friday night. I don't know if that affects anyone's schedule in the process. We can still leave it at 6 o'clock on a Friday night, or if you all wanted to look at meeting, 1 o'clock in the afternoon and doing things in the afternoon or morning, or however you all wanted to do it. I just wanted to throw that out. When the calendar was proposed at the beginning of the year, I don't think any of us realized that June 30th was a Friday night. That might be Mexican night for some people or something. I don't know.
Not to mention any names.
Well, the majority of the married people up here have been married longer than 5 years, so Friday night's just another night. So.
And the other option is, if you did want to move it to sometime during the day or the afternoon, we could also schedule at that time department heads to sort of give a year-end update if you wanted to, because it'd be during the normal shift when they're here. Not required, just want to make certain everybody knew the date and the time frame.
I'm flexible.
I mean, just as long as I know what time it is, I can make it work.
Well, would y'all prefer, or I know what the preference is, but is a daytime meeting doable?
Yeah. So I just need to know what time.
Yeah, I can make it work with that. So.
9 a.m.
I'll try to fit it in.
Wow.
I'll see if I can get off work.
Mr. Burnett?
I should be able to make that work.
And the reason I ask, I think Mr. Bear had a good point. It would be nice to get the department heads in here to give a brief recap or whatever information without them having to stay to 6 o'clock on a Friday night.
And the only other thing that helps is Ms. Williams. If we do not adopt the board meeting at that time and we make some type of a change, she can run to the office and make some changes if we need them to come back in here, and we can do it, before the end of the day. Hopefully, we won't have to do that, but we've got the ability to do that. But if you all would like that, I would just request, since the rules of procedure had it set for the normal time, that we have a motion to establish it at whatever time you all decide on that date.
I'll make a motion to step.
Wait a minute. You're a chicken cook.
Will you be awake by 9?
I guess one day I can.
Are you want to go 10?
10's great.
10? Okay.
Is 10 good with everybody?
10's great. Means I don't have to change my alarm.
I wasn't about to make a recommendation on that, you know.
Then I will make a motion to establish 10 a.m. as our June 30th, 2023 meeting time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, have a motion by Ms. Lawson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Mr. Terry. Is there any questions or discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Per Mr. Cook's request, it'll be 10 a.m.
Next item I've got on here is County Administration Department vehicle discussion. We got a staff engineer that's come on board. He currently right now is driving the police van around, and that's doing fine in the process, and he seems to be enjoying driving the police van around. But we've got a need for that department of vehicle. We've got some money in next year's budget, but we need another vehicle for EM 1.5 or whatever we've got in the process back there. And we've been in discussions looking at one of the vehicles that DSS is turning back in. Our Impala that we have is got water filling up the trunk of it in the process, and we're trying to get that repaired.
Oh, that's normal.
We
give it to Parks and Rec, and they can stop fish with it.
We're talking to DSS on one of their vehicles that may come back. We do have some money budgeted for the building inspection department. Matt has been looking at my request for some used vehicles. We have got some savings this year between all the EMS stuff that we didn't do, between some things with Progress Park. If you all do not object, I would like to move a couple of those things to vehicles and buy a couple used vehicles if we can find them. Go ahead and give an updated truck to, or maybe an SUV, small pickup or small SUV for the building inspector. We can pass that pickup truck down to the lake for them to use out there as a runaround vehicle at the lake, and look at getting possibly another vehicle, an actual four-wheel drive vehicle for our staff engineer to use in the process. And if we add the additional buildings and grounds person, which is in the budget, I would probably at that time use the van for the buildings and grounds person, because that works well for hauling equipment around and everything else. So,
well, luckily we were in decent shape the past 2 years when vehicle prices went crazy on vehicles, but I definitely don't want to get in the shape that we were in 6 years ago when I started.
And trying to get new, I mean, yeah. Mr. Hankins' vehicle has been on order
since August.
Yeah. So we're just trying to find good used vehicles within, look at local first, but within 100, 200 mile radius, if we can find something we can look at. I've got the ability to transfer within the individual departments. I just wanted to run it by you all to make certain you all didn't have any concerns about it. I think it's time to get a couple of upgrades on some vehicles.
If we find a vehicle, we'll need the ability to go ahead and cut a check.
What are you getting, an Escalade?
I think you know me better than that, Mr. Cook.
A Lamborghini.
His is an Explorer, and is there another one on order also? No. Don's got a truck. It's been on order forever also.
What are you going to do with the Escape?
Continue to use it.
Continue to use it.
Got your money's worth out of it.
We've got staff here that continue to go out and run. Elizabeth is needing the vehicle. Dispatch is needing vehicle. Dispatch is needing vehicles to take people to training in the process. We're using the van for that some. Martha doesn't need it that often, but she's got it. Finance has been making some trips and some things. It's not enough vehicles here to have everybody with one. So I started to come steal Kathy's the other day that they used back. I thought I was going to need it for a few days, but if there's no objections to it, I guess if you want to have ability to prepay quickly on that in the process. Want to do a motion to authorize if staff locates vehicles for those departments to go ahead and prepay to get those vehicles. Would someone mind doing a motion on that?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion, have a second.
Second.
Have a second by Mr. Smith. Is there any questions or discussion? If I'd worry about it if I didn't know how tight Stephen was. All right.
He can tell you what I did last weekend. I'm looking at a vehicle and it's got a pass muster.
All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Terry.
Aye.
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 So approved.
And the last item on my report is just that as you all are aware, the Scott Memorial Middle School project, we appreciate the school system being able to get a $5.4 million grant to go towards that project, and we will be working that into the budget. So thank you, Dr. Poole or Dr. Haga or whoever your staff is that helped put that together.
Thank you.
And just to clarify, that means we're going to get a $27 million new school for $9.3 million. So
I thought we got a deal on the connector road, but Dr. Poole is out doing us on the new school. So
it's certainly appreciated, and a lot of people outside this room probably never realize what a deal we've got in the first new school in Wythe County in 21 years now. So thank you, Dr. Poole, and I probably shouldn't say this, but it's amazing what you can accomplish when you have a school superintendent that's from Wythe County, that lives in Wythe County, and probably going to retire in Wythe County. And I'm not going to throw too much shade, because former people that used to sit in these chairs made the same mistake one time. And it's nice to have local people and local spots.
absolutely.
All right, anything else, Mr. Barrett?
That's all I've got, and I'm sorry, I should have let Matt have that one in his report.
I thought that Wes was going to bring one of those big checks. That's why I wore a suit. All right, County Attorney, Mr. Farthing.
I don't have anything to report right now, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Move on to board reports. We have the Buildings and Grounds Committee.
The Building and Grounds Committee met on May 16, 2023 and discussed the conveyance of the Teddy Franklin Brown House, 105 Church Street, Rural Retreat, to the town of Rural Retreat. The committee recommends waiving the outstanding taxes and interest due on the property in the amount of $7,856.74, contingent upon the property being conveyed to the town of Rural Retreat.
All right, coming from committee, it doesn't need a second. Is there any questions or discussion on that item?
The only comment, Mr. Chairman, on page 130 of my memo, I did talk to the town manager. There are out-of-pocket expenses of $1,276.63. The tax, TACS, John Wythe, is unable to, or spend expenses. The actual lawyer's cost of taking it to court and all that, he is waiving. There's no expenses go with it. And the town manager of Rural Retreat did say that he would be willing to pay that amount. So if you want your motion to include contingent upon conveyance to the town of Rural Retreat and then paying that amount, we can add that in there as well. But I do believe that they're willing to pay that to get this house straightened out.
I think that was my understanding of the recommendation in the committee meeting. I assume
I wasn't there. Sorry.
It was.
It was. All right, is any other questions or discussion on that one? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Terry?
Aye.
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 Aye. So approved. Anything else from Buildings and Grounds?
No, sorry.
I was scrolling down through there. I couldn't find it.
Well, I didn't have no, I thought because I wasn't there that Mr. Cook was doing it.
He was the chair. All right, we'll move to Fire and Rescue Committee. Mr. Hankins, this involves money. I assume this is you.
We've reviewed the Fire and Rescue departments. Mr. Parnell has been through and has checked their budgets. We have 3 departments that are either running small deficits or very close to running out of money. And the primary cost or primary reason for those costs this year is electricity, heating, and operations costs have all been higher. So the Fire and Rescue Committee reviewed this yesterday and recommended amending and appropriating in the following amounts: $5,950 for lead mines rescue, $1,825 to Barron Springs Fire Department, and $2,250 to Max Meadows Fire Department to get them through the end of the year.
All right, the recommendation came from the Fire and Rescue Committee, so it doesn't need a second. Is there any questions or discussion on that one?
Are we still trying to build with rescue squads? I mean, is that part of the fact that people aren't paying the bill?
No, sir. We haven't started that and won't start that until we have a combined emergency services department sometime in the next budget year.
Dissolve operation cost.
Mr. Hankins, these dollar amounts, will that be enough to get them through the end of the year, or will we have to amend again?
We think it'll be enough, but you may yet see an additional appropriation required at the June 30th meeting. We're going to try to get through on these amounts, but this is based on the bills that we have and some projections about what fuel may run in June. If they have a major structure fire or something, though, they're running so close that if they have to gas up 3 or 4 or fuel up 3 or 4 trucks, they may go over their budgets.
All right. Anybody else have any questions? All right. Here and now we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Burnett.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Aye.
So approved. And that was it from the Fire and Rescue Committee?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, we'll move on to board time. Mr. Terry.
2 things, Mr. Chairman. First, I want to say congratulations to the 2023 class of all 3 county high schools. I wish them well and great success, and I want to also extend an apology to those folks because I will be gone this weekend. I've got a work commitment in Columbia, South Carolina. I'll be leaving Thursday, so my apologies for not attending graduation. And the second thing, just want to say happy First Responders Week to all of our men and women who keep us protected and transport us to and from hospitals. That's greatly appreciated, and thanks to all those men and women. That's all I've got, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Terry. Mr. Horny.
I'll keep it short. I'll just echo Mr. Terry's remarks, and I don't believe I have anything concerning that has been brought to my attention.
All right, Mr. Smith.
I'll echo Mr. Terry's remarks as well. I do have several things though. So follow up on the road signs. I know, Chuck, you were ordering the signs.
And they have been ordered.
Okay.
They get here, all of them,
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
He's actually placed 2 orders, the initial order and a follow-up order. We've received some, there was some urgency too, to get replacements.
All right, thank y'all for taking care of that. Pepps Ferry Road from the bridge that crosses the railroad down going toward Popper Camp. From that bridge to, not Popper Camp, Gun Park.
Gun Park, okay.
So from the bridge to Gun Park, that road's in pretty rough shape with some potholes. We were down in that area Sunday. If you can, I'll send an email to him, copy Andy on that. Stephen, I just failed to do it this week. Mr. William Porter contacted me again. He lives off of Pepps Ferry, going that direction as well. About the property, how to gain his property back. I'm thinking beat up man acquired the land for a right-of-way, future right-of-way or something. I know we had talked about it a while back, but he contacted me again wanting to know what he needs to do on that. And then, Mr. Chairman, last thing I got, I did get a complaint, and it was kind of concerning to me, really. So the residents of Grouse Ridge, they're paying higher taxes for that road that has been constructed up in there. And there is a resident up there that's, I don't know, he's just not being a good steward of the money, the tax money that's on that road, and he's got some heavy equipment up there that he's running on the road. He's got equipment sitting in the right-of-way. It's causing issues, so we may need to, I can get you more information, Mr. Byrne, if I call names, and I'll get that to you. But,
if you will, I'll work with VDOT to look at it and work with the sheriff's office to see what's in the right-of-way and see what we can do.
Yeah, we rode over there Sunday, and that road's, it's pretty fragile anyway, especially going up and down the hill there. Heavy equipment shouldn't be on that road. They should trailer it in and out there. So, from my understanding, when you run loaders on it, track loaders, it's
track loader,
it's going to eat it up pretty good. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Cook.
May I interrupt you one second? The road complaint was his district also. Is that correct, Mr. Cook?
The what now?
The road concern. Did you say it was the Fort Chiswell?
Fort Chiswell trash collection. The green box is right next to the high school there. As you pull out to go back up towards Fort Chiswell, there's a huge
on 52. Okay, thank you. Okay.
I have nothing.
All right, Ms. Lawson.
Have nothing at this time.
Mr. Burnett.
I have nothing at this time.
I got a couple of things to echo what everybody said. Congratulations to the graduates of the 3 high schools coming up this week. Also, the 25th Thursday, the students at the Wythe County Technology Center graduate. If you've never been, it's a great ceremony. It's very impressive when they start naming off all the certificates and skills that these young men and women have earned up there in 2 years. I believe that's 6 p.m.
6 o'clock.
6 p.m.
on Thursday at the technology, or at George Wythe, right?
At George Wythe, and they also have a regional baseball game and a regional soccer game.
Be a packed house.
So get there about 1:30 if you want a place to park. But honestly, it really is what Miss Stone and the faculty up there accomplished in 2 years is very impressive. Going back to, I guess this is a VDOT matter, Mr. Barrett. I did have some concerns about the fundraiser that the church off of Wesley Highway had the other week.
Okay.
If there's, and I guess it's been the past couple of years, there's been such a large amount of people show up, which was great for the fundraiser, but they're turning both directions off number 11 and coming from Wytheville, you've got that little hump, and it was my understanding that this year traffic was backed up quite a bit. If you could talk to VDOT and see if VDOT can work with the church next year and get some signage, some mobile signage up there. I mean, 55, 60 mile an hour, and you're not expecting half a mile backup. I'm surprised it didn't happen this year. But I think that's a testament to the food they serve, because people don't mind standing in line. And I did receive some kudos from the folks over in Crockett that wanted me to express their thanks for, is it Windy Way or Windy Hill?
Windy Hill.
Windy Hill Drive, getting it on the 6-year plan. They reached out to us. They're tickled to death to be on that list. And that's all I've got.
Mr. Chairman, on that note, I did contact VDOT Friday. They did not have the paperwork ready for us to have the 6-year plan on here. Colleen will help me make certain VDOT has given that to us, so it'll be on your agenda for the next meeting.
All right, next item I have is a closed meeting under Code of Virginia Section 2.2-3711A6, investment of public funds. I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Mr. Chairman, if I can also request add A1 personnel, emergency services.
All right, and A1 personnel, emergency services. Have a motion by Mr. Smith. Do I have a second? Have a second by Mr. Terry. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We'll now be in a closed session. All right, entertain a motion to come out of closed session.
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Terry, a second by Mr. Smith. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We're now back in open session on the record. Mr. Terry, if you'll read the certification.
Yes, sir. Whereas the Wythe County Board of Supervisors has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Info Act. And whereas Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the Wythe County Board of Supervisors that such a meeting was held and conducted in the conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Wythe County Board of Supervisors hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which the certification resolution applies, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, and are considered by the Wythe County Board of Supervisors. And I'll make that a motion, Mr. Chairman.
All right, I have a motion by Mr. Terry. Do I have a second? Second. Have a second by Mr. Burnett. Is there any discussion on the certification? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Terry?
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
So approved. Anything else to come before the board, Mr. Barry?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Does anybody have anything else to come before the board?
No.
Hearing none, we'll be in recess until May the 30th at 6 p.m.